Good day everyone. For this video presentation of Pre-Calculus Conic Section Parabola, we will tackle about identifying the different properties of an ellipse. Remember, on the first part of our video, we have identified the properties, right? Such as the vertex, the directrix, and the focus of the parabola. This time, let us identify what are the values of these properties because it would help us on how to graph our parabola. We will start with the steps. Number one is you need to determine the orientation. When we say orientation, dalawa to. It is a vertical or a horizontal parabola. Why do we need to identify the orientation? First is this orientation will tell us what solutions do we need to apply for the properties. And then it will also help us to identify what is the opening. So we already identify the orientation. Let's say the orientation of the given parabola is horizontal. Then if it is a horizontal, you can do the second step to determine the value of your letter C. So just like I mentioned, there are two orientations, vertical and horizontal. If it is horizontal, if you already determine the value of C, it would help you to identify if it is a parabola that opens right, left, up, down. Why? Because C dictates this 4. So, for example, it is a horizontal. So, if it is a horizontal, you have two options to narrow down with. A right or left parabola. Parabola that opens to the left or to the right. So, if C is greater than 0, we can recall that it is a parabola that opens to the right and C less than 0 to the left for a horizontal. Then for a vertical parabola, if C is greater than 0, it would be an upward or a parabola that opens up or a downward parabola if it is less than 0. So for this video, let us start with a parabola in a vertical format. Then if you're already done with finding the orientation, the opening, and the value of C, you can now locate or identify the location of your vertex, focus, directrix, and the latus rectum. So let us start with your table that we can use to identify the properties. So let's pause for a while to identify the different equations or solution for our parabola. So let's start with number one. For number one, we can see here that the variable with a squared or outside its parenthesis is the variable x. And based on the table, if the variable x has a square, it is a vertical parabola. This one, okay, same pattern that they have square, so we have a vertical parabola. So we already identified it. So we can now proceed to the first one that we need to solve, which is the value of C. On our step 2, we need to solve for the value of C because it will tell us the opening. So if to get that, we need to use the value of 4C, which is equal to 4, then divide it both sides by 4 to get the value of C, which is equal to 1. Okay, that's the first one. C is equal to 1 and it is greater than 0, so therefore the parabola will opens upward, up, okay, or opens upward. Okay, wala nang S, upwards. So upward or up lang. Kasi hindi pwedeng to the up or to the upward, no? That only applies for to the left or to the right. Okay, number 3. So you already identify 1 and 2. Opening, the value of C, and you also identified if it is a vertical or horizontal parabola. Sa vertical, apply na natin yung mga nasa table, no? Unang, pagkatas makuha yung C, pwede na natin ibigay yung value ng vertex, which is your H and K. Again, H is always with X and Y is with always with K. So, if it is positive 3, it will become negative 3. So, it's negative 1, it will become positive 1. Number 4, it would be the foci with H comma K plus C. So it would be negative 3 comma 1 plus 1. Answer is negative 3 comma 2. I will box the answers that you needed. Okay. Number 5, directrix. So small letter D. Directrix is given by y is equal to k minus c. So kabaliktaran siya ni focus. So kasi focus is k plus c, ito naman ay magiging k minus c. So it would be y is equal to 1 minus 1, which is y is equal to 0. And number 6, we have our axis of symmetry. So no need to solve for this one. It is given by x is equal to h. So if x is equal to h, then h is equal to negative 3. Therefore, x is equal to negative 3. Number 7 is given by the length of the latus rectum, and it is the absolute value of 4c. Then put the term units afterwards. So it would be 4c is equal to 4. So get the absolute value of 4. So the final answer would be 4 units. And number 8, based on the solution, katulad nga na in-explain ko sa inyo, ends of the latus rectum or the latus rectum itself is passing through the focus. And it has the same solution with the focus. Kung mapapansin nyo, may K plus C, si ELR1 at ELR2. Ang magbabago lang yung kanyang H plus 2P. So it would be ELR1 is equivalent to H plus 2P, comma K plus C, oh sorry, it's H plus 2C po pala. So it would be negative 3 plus 2 since the value of C is 1, comma 1 plus 1. It would be negative 3 plus 2, that would be negative 1, comma 2. And for ELR2, it would be H minus 2C, comma K plus C. So it would be negative 3 minus 2 times 1, comma 1 plus 1. So that would be 3 minus 2. That would be negative 5, comma 2. And these are all your 9 properties that are needed to graph or to be identified given our standard equation. On to the next example. On to number 2, still a vertical parabola. Identify uli natin anong value ni letter C. So 4C is equal to 8 this time. Divide both sides by 4. C is equal to 2. And if C is equal to 2, it is greater than 0. So your parabola will still opens upward. Okay. Now, we already identified the value of C and it is upward parabola. So we have to identify this time the value of your H and K, your vertex. So it would be 2 comma negative 3. So it always change the sign. The number 4 would be the focus. So it would be H comma K plus C again. So it would be 2 comma negative 3 plus 2. So that would be 2 comma negative 1. Okay, so put that in a parenthesis. So I'll be boxing the answers that are needed. Number 5, directrix given by y is equal to k minus c. So y is equal to negative 3 minus 2 this time. So y is equal to negative 5. Okay, number 6, axis of symmetry given by x is equal to h. So x is equal to positive 2. Okay, then number 7. 7 is given by your length of the latus rectum, absolute value of 4c again, units. So it would be 8, absolute value of 8 units. So the answer is simply 8 units. Number 8 and number 9, ELR1 and ELR2. ELR1 would be, H would be 2 plus 2 times 2, comma, negative 3 plus 2. That would be 2 times 2 is 4 plus 2. That would be equal to 6, comma, negative 1. And ELR2 would be 2 minus 2 times 2, comma, negative 3 plus 2. So 2 times 3 is negative 4. 2 minus 4 is negative 2, comma, negative 1. So those are all your properties for number 2. And on to our last example. On to our last example. So the given is the quantity of x plus 2 quantity squared is equal to negative 6 multiplied by y minus 4. Again, this is still a vertical parabola since the variable that is being squared is x. And on the pattern that we have here, the variable on the left side is x. So let us now solve for the value of c. So for c is equal to negative 6, dividing both sides by 4, c is equal to negative 3 halves, or c is equal to negative 1.5. It's up to you kung anong gagamitin nyo or gagamitin mo sa pagkuha ng mga properties natin since the value of c this time is a fraction. So then after that, let us move for the value of, or guess the OPE, which is, since c is negative 1.5 or negative 3 halves, it is less than 0, so the parabola will open downward, or you can also write opens down. Okay? Opens downward or down, bahala na kayo kung anong gagamitin nyo or itatype nyo. No? It's the same. So, number 3 natin is the value or the coordinates of the vertex. Here, it is negative 2. Okay, it's h and k again. Change the sign. It would be negative 2, comma, negative 4. Okay, then for the number 4, it's the focus. So the solution for the focus is h, comma, k plus c. So the value of the vertex is given. We can write now our answer. So we can see that it's negative 2 for h. Okay, so negative 2. Then the solution would be like negative 4 plus negative 3 halves. So you can type that on your calculator, the solution of negative 4 plus negative 3 halves with parentheses, of course. So don't forget to write parentheses, or you can type it directly as minus. It's the same. So you will get the same answer. So my answer would be negative 2, comma, negative 11 over 2. So that's my focus, or you can write your answer as negative 2, comma, in decimal, if you really want to write it in decimal, negative 5.5. Okay? Then, for our number 5, directrix this time is y is equal to k minus c. It's the opposite of your focus. It's negative 4 minus negative 3 halves. Okay? So, we just change the operation that we use dun sa focus so that we will have an answer of y is equal to negative 5 over 2. Okay? Still negative 5 over 2, or y is equal to negative 2.5. Okay? That's the answer for our um, directives. Now, continuing to our number 6, which is our axis of symmetry. No need to solve for the axis of symmetry because it is equal to x is equal to h. So h is equal to negative 2. Therefore, your answer is x is equal to negative 2.
For number 7, we have to get the absolute value of our 4p. Okay? So LLR is the absolute value of 4p units. So your answer would be negative 6 absolute value. So the answer would be 6 units. For number 8, we have ends of the lattice rectum 1. The solution would be h plus 2c comma k plus c. So first write negative 2 plus 2 times negative 3 halves comma k. So kagaya lang naman siya dun sa focus. K which is negative 4 plus negative 3 halves. So by using your calculators, you can solve or type the solution for the left side, our x-coordinate. That would be negative 2 plus 2 times negative 3 over 2. Okay? So the answer would be negative 5. Comma, copy nyo lang yung nasa focus, negative 11 over 2, or simply negative 5, comma, negative 5.5. So, bahala kayo kung ano gusto nyo gamitin dyan sa dalawa. ELR2, change the sign. So, instead of h plus, it will become h minus 2c, tapos k plus c. So, negative 2 minus 2 times negative 3 halves, comma negative 4 plus negative 3 halves. So, finally, writing our final answer. So, you can edit out your solution on your calculator and the answer will be 1 comma negative 5.5 or 1 comma sorry, I'll change this as my fraction first. 11 over 2 then became negative 5.5. And that's all for number 3's example. Again, that's all for this video lesson, which is getting the properties of the vertical parabola that has an opening upward or downward.